All right, I'm excited about tonight. So here's the thing. When I am traveling around the nation, I'm doing my thing, visiting schools, and I'm doing the Teaching a Rock Star, Be the One thing. I am visiting schools, and I'm always peeking in classrooms, and I'm just looking for something that's different. Like I'm looking for something that is different than what we typically see in the classroom. Oftentimes I'll walk by a classroom and I'll see I'll see some kid, the whole room full of kids in rows and columns, and they're staring at the back of some other kid's head for an hour or all day. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I wish it was different because I know what it's like to sit in that room. I was that kid. I was staring at the back of some kid's head and looking at this, looking at his hair and trying to see freckles on the back of his neck. And oh my gosh, when I'm looking out the window thinking I would love to be outside. And sometimes I find entire schools that are extremely different, just extraordinarily different. And I'm going to introduce you to one of those today. Today we have Dr. Toni Hull, and she's going to visit with us. She doesn't even know where the box is. When you talk about outside the box, this lady, I'll let her tell you about our school. So we have known each other. All right, let me get her on here. Let me figure out how to do this. All right, Dr. Toni Hull, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm amazing. All right, take it back. How long ago do you think it was that we met? I'm going to guess it's less than a decade. Somewhere between 7 and 10 years.
Yes.
8 maybe?
Probably about 8 years.
All right, where was it? El Paso, right?
El Paso. Paso, Texas.
You know what? That was a cool little show. It's incredible how many people from that one little show I still connect with. It was that was an amazing day. That was so much fun.
It was super fun, and I loved the stories and just connected with you. And it was amazing. We all went back and we talked the whole ride home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So for you, when you were teaching, and if I remember right, you started as a science teacher, right?
Yes.
Okay, and when you were a science teacher, when you first started, were you doing that same old stand in front of the class, giving notes, putting stuff on the overhead?
Yeah, definitely. When I first started teaching, you felt like you had to follow the plan. You had to do it the way it was done before. Really? I mean, you kind of felt like that was what you had to do as a first-year teacher, second-year teacher, until you paid your dues, I guess, Yeah. And you had to. But then that slowly went away when I realized that kids didn't learn like that. Not every kid learns that way. Most kids don't.
I was going to say, I'm not sure I know one. But now that's the thing. In fact, a lot of those kids that learn that way, in their adult world, we call them teachers because,
right. Very true.
Yeah, they became teachers, and that's so true. Is there's a certain kid out there. I mean, they do, and they sit there and they stare straight ahead, and they're typically really visual learners or auditory learners, but for lots of kids, lots of them, they're sitting in the classroom thinking, oh my gosh, and they're staring at the clock and they're trying to figure out, is that thing even working? And they're, focused on the second hand and they're daydreaming. And for you, what was the moment where everything changed and you thought, you know what, there's gotta be a better way?
Probably when I realized that kids didn't like science. And so right away, the content is a problem. So then I'm the science teacher, and then I have to, right away, they've just already tuned me out. And so I had to think of a way to make it fun for them. And that's when we started introducing things like poetry. I'd have the kids dress up as trees and cells and jump on the desk and do a poem in the style of a tree.
Yeah.
Things like that, because they like that. So I knew they were so excited about the electives. They were excited about PE and art. And I'm thinking, okay, how can I take those things and connect it to science? Because otherwise, or math, but in my case, it was science. And so I thought, well, you like to draw. How can I bring that in so that then you'll like what I'm giving you here in science? So.
Yeah. I taught, I almost said I taught biology. I didn't really teach, but I was sponsoring a biology class for those other teachers. They were teaching, but I was kind of sponsoring the class, and for a year. And it started out that just like because that's what everybody's doing. They have notes, and there's an overhead, and there's chapters and questions. So I'm just doing that, man. But the project I was just frustrated with the class and frustrated with myself and teaching, and it was so not fun. And then I remember we were doing the systems of the body. And there's a group of kids that were just super fun, and they were the digestive system, and they're like, can we do something different? I was like, sure. And oh my gosh. So long story short, there was a poster, and it involved, and they used me, of course, as the example. And they had a skit that went along with the poster. And there's a picture of me sitting on the toilet talking about the digestive system. But oh my God, they had so much fun. And like the more they could embarrass me, which I love, the more they learned and the more fun they had. And they had this whole skit. And like that was a huge moment for me, where like once they were involved and engaged and over there laughing about making fun of me while learning about that, the digestive system it was amazing.
Well, I think that's one of the things that teachers, it was hard for me at first to kind of let down my guard of being the teacher, and I have to be the professional one in the room, but, and actually make fun of myself. And I had this really cool cooperating teacher across the hall from me, and like he would jump over desks and act out. He taught social studies, and he would act out the battles, and I'd hear crash and boom across the hall. And I thought, what is going on? The kids would come over to my room, and I'd say, guys, what did you just do? Well, he acted out, and he grabbed the garbage can, and then he acted like he was invading. And I said, oh, okay. So I went over there and I said, hey, can you show me how to do just a part of that? Because like his personality was a little different, where I had to learn how to step out and say, it's okay to kind of make a little fun of myself for their benefit that they're going to learn.
Right. It really is like that moment. I think every great teacher has that moment where they step out of the traditional role of what we think a teacher should be, and then we're just ourselves. Because that's the thing. Like, I know you, and like trying to picture you stand in front of a classroom giving notes, I can't, like, that's not even who you are, But like, no. I know, but like, and it's not who I am either. But I think at some point early in our careers, like we think that's what we're supposed to do because that's what we saw for, 14, 12 years of school and then college and professors. And I think that's just what we do. So that's here we go.
You're right. That's all we saw. So like they have their checklist, and you wanted to make sure you were checked off on every box.
Yeah. And once you got the hang of it, and like you started bringing in the fun, well, not the fun, but you started bringing in you and like being vulnerable and authentic in front of your kids, that's when everything changed for you.
That's when it changed. You have to be authentic. And so the teachers that I have currently, they are themselves all the time.
We're going to get to your crew of wackos in just a second.
But yeah, you have to, and then you'll see like the kids will not only get the content, but they'll also get the connection. So the content and the connection with you when you're yourself.
All right. So you have your own school now. Let's get into this thing. So you the school unlike anything I've ever seen. And when we reconnected, it's not like we were not connected, but when I started really following what you had going on is because you were posting these wow moments at your school. And you have wow moments and big wow moments. And the one I saw, I was like, what are they doing over there? Was you had like this whole entrance set up where it was like the Grammys, not the Grammys. What's the other one called? The Academy Awards.
Academy Awards.
That's right. And you had red carpet and limos and all kinds of stuff happening. Tell me about that.
So we wanted to do a big welcome back to school. And so I thought, and then we wanted to also give some awards out. So we thought, why don't we make it like the Academy Awards? And we called up the local convention center and said, do you have like those rope things? And they lent them to us. Because we had like no money. And so they lent those to us. And then we got a limo to just drive around the block. So I just said, could you come over and just drive the teachers around the block and have them get out? And they did. We just told them, we said, dress your best on the first day back in January. And they had no idea. And so they came back, and my custodian was dressed up as the doorman, and they came in, and we had paparazzi on the wall where you take the photos. I mean, they didn't know what hit them, but they felt so amazing and special. And I think we need to do the whole idea of our big wows, and we do it every single time we come back from a big break, is about creating an experience for them. And if you ask those kids, I know that they're going to say, it felt like we were at an award show. We were dressed up in tuxes and black dresses and things like that. So they experienced that, and they'll never forget it. They still talk about it.
That's the thing. There's so many lessons in that. And first of all, I think as educators in schools, we often, don't realize how much people want to help if we just ask. And like you just asking for the velvet rope things, whatever the things are called, and in the limo. And lots of people are going to say yes, because everybody has a memory of school and a teacher that changed their life, and they're so willing to give back. I just, when I was in the airport, I was sitting next to a couple of guys on my my recent trip to New Jersey, and we, had a 3-hour layover, and we talked for these guys talked for 3 hours about teachers they had, and they're welders, and they couldn't wait to talk about teachers. And we talked for 3 hours about the teachers that they had, and they still keep in touch. And everyone has that experience. And if we were, if we just ask for whatever need, most times they'd say yes. I know a school that part of their school culture is teachers ask for big things from people. And that's what they send emails like to movie stars, and they send emails to athletes and emails to organizations and companies, just asking for stuff to help out the school. And they don't get every yes, but they get a lot, and they have these amazing visitors come and amazing things, amazing experiences for the kids. And the other thing is that I loved what you were doing is the custodian dressed up, and that guy is awesome.
Yeah, he got me. Everyone at our school, I call everyone a teacher, and I say you're teaching through your example. And from the custodian, the secretary, the cafeteria ladies, everyone is a teacher and teaching our kids something. So yeah. That's what we always talk about. We all have a different job title for sure. But when it comes down to it, we all share the same role, and that is to make a difference in the lives of kids. And that custodian, I know for sure, that's his classroom, the hallway. When kids are out in the hallway and there's that time changing between classes, that's class time. That's his classroom. Yeah, definitely. And he comes back because actually he went on to another school. He got moved, but the kids, when he comes back and visits, they just gravitate right to him, and they just talk about the times where he dressed up, because every single big wow, he was a part of it. Yeah. And so they remember that. That's what they remember, the experiences, and it's about creating those experiences for kids.
For sure. And when I bring you up in conversation is when people say, hey, how do I get my teachers to buy in? And, first of all, I just don't even like the terminology, like the buy-in, because no one really likes to buy anything. Like when you have to buy a car, can't even stand a thought. But people love to invest in stuff. And so I try to flip that, the thought of it around from buying in to investing in. And the way you get your teachers to buy in is you get them to invest in an experience that makes a difference in the lives of kids. And I think that's the number one way. And I talk about your big wow moments. The reason teachers are bought in is because they have been given the opportunity to invest in these experiences that they can see has an incredible impact on the lives of their kids.
And their lives as well. And
that's so the thing.
That's the key, is that we talk about those big wow moments. We're already getting ready for the January big wow. But I think to get teachers to invest and students too, is to really ask them their feedback. So I just tell them, I say, when we brainstorm, anything is an option. So throw out your craziest ideas, because everything's on the table. Don't even think it's weird. Just say it. Right. And let's see what we can create.
That's that. You know what it is, man? That is that yes and experience that we help schools go through, where, typically it's that, but is the typical, well, what if we do this? Yeah, but the reason, we just don't have the money. Yeah, but they're never going to say yes at the central office. Yeah, but that'll never work. And that's the creativity that just douses the flames of creativity. But if we get in that habit of yes, and and practice that. And that's one of those things that we rehearse is, just come up with I'm going to throw out a crazy idea. And the way we do this is we're going to go around the circle and everyone's going to say yes and build on that idea, even though you think it's the worst idea ever. It doesn't matter. Let's practice. And I'll throw out a really bad idea and they have to say yes. And then you know what? We get amazing ideas out of a really bad idea.
Yeah. And that works with kids too, when we get their ideas as well. And we never know what they're going to come up with. And then they instantly want to be a part of it. But we also surprise them a lot. That's
the thing, man. It's so good.
It's so fun.
Yeah. Hey, how did this thing start, man? Let's get into this. So let's go all the way back. And you were at another district and they had this campus. And when they came to you, how did they describe what was in place?
Well, it was the alternative school for kids that they're not bad enough to be at the suspension school and they're not well behaved enough to be at the regular big traditional school. So they're there.
And what was it called at that time? Do you remember?
It was the Mesilla Valley Alternative Middle School. The
Mesilla Valley Alternative Middle School. And one of the first things you did was change the name.
Right. Yeah. Because there's a lot in a name. And when I went there, I went right to the kids. I remember going into the hallway and I said to the first kid that came up to me and I said, hi. And he said, Dr. Hull, I've heard that you're a pretty good principal. I said, well, thanks. And he said, well, then why are you here with us? Because we're the dumb kids. And I said, and that right there, I'll never forget that moment because I thought they're living up to their name. They this is the place for dumb kids. And I said, no, it's not. I said, just learn differently. You just learn differently. And so we talked to parents, we talked to kids about the word alternative. And it had a negative meaning to them. And so, we changed it to the Leadership Academy, which all of a sudden then you have to live up to that.
Yeah, right.
That's a name you got to live up to.
Man. It's like, it's not just kids. Kids will live up to the reputation, but also organizations will live up to the reputation. Yeah. And that's the thing. Like once we get a school on the right track and they build that reputation in the community for being an amazing school, oftentimes they live up to that as well.
Right. And it's still something that we struggle with, but this is our 4th year and more and more principals and families are getting to know us. But in the beginning, the name change didn't really click as to sending kids because they're the problem kids and things like that. Now we just want all of our kids that come to us because they want to be there. That's the requirement. Yeah. And we meet them where they're at and figure out a way to connect with them so that they want to learn.
Also, what's interesting about your kids is I have a theory about your kids, and that is, they definitely learn differently, but I think lots of kids at that big, giant, traditional school learn differently, but they'll play the game. And they'll play the game and get themselves a 75 and get out of here. Good point. Yeah. Where I think your kids learn differently and just not willing to play the game. I'm not willing to sit there in rows and columns and, just do a few things to get myself a 75. And that's what I love about your kids, because those kids oftentimes don't turn out to be the employee. They turn out to be the employer. And that's the exciting thing.
That's exactly true. There's a story of one of our students came back to us, because we have moved campuses like 3 times in 3 years. So I get it. So the student moved to the traditional school and she called about a month in and the parents called and said, can she come back? And I was like, definitely. And so she came and I asked her, this is a 7th grader. I asked her and she said, I just don't, I didn't learn that way. And they were giving me assignments and stuff out of the book and that's it. And I said, well, okay. So they know that she knew. She sat there and she was kind of evaluating what was going on. And she's like, no, I can't do it this way. And she will be the boss someday. Yeah.
She's already the boss. Yeah. She's already the employer. She doesn't have any employees yet.
Yeah. But our kids they come to us, not all of them as leaders, but a lot of them have that little thing inside of them that they want to challenge things, which is fine. They want to challenge us. They want to challenge what we're doing. So we do a lot of student voice. a lot of student voice, at times for feedback, so that we can find out what's working, what's not working. We ask the kids because they're old enough to tell us and give their input. And when they feel like they've given their input, they're going to be, again, we're buying in, but they're going to be committed. I like to use the word commitment. And that's what it is. It's about, you may not agree with everything, but you're committed to what we're doing and how we're learning here at MVLA. Yeah.
Hey, when we went out, when I was there a while back, it was just over a year ago, and we went out to dinner, and I met some of your teachers, and oh my gosh, here's the thing, like, you know what we have, like, the movie, I can't remember the name. What was the name of the movie where the substitute showed up and he was, and he's dressed up and. And it turned out he was like maybe from the hospital down the street or something. You got characters in there which are like so entertaining and creative, and they're just so passionate about their work and their love for kids. It's incredible.
Yeah, they are unique.
I'm not even sure they would fit in a traditional school, let alone a kid.
No, I have known some of them for a long time, and I've seen them at traditional schools, but they were that teacher that closed the door and then did something wacky in their room. The principal will walk in, and it's like, what are you doing? What's going on? Where are you?
Right.
That kind of thing. They're the kind of teachers that are like that, that aren't afraid to have the kids lead and have the kids be the ones that are the focus in the classroom instead of the teacher. Yeah.
Yeah. When you have you hired, like, I'm just wondering, like, what is the hiring process look like? And when you're looking for a teacher, I mean, how do you know you got one in front of you?
It's really for us because our teachers teach like many different subjects. I mean, they specialize in one, but it's about the person. So I just ask them questions about, what do you think is something innovative that you've done in the classroom? What's holding you back? Have you ever felt like you wanted to do something out of the box? What did that look like? And to see what they say. But usually they are the ones that just continue to talk about that moment or that principle that let them do something different and that they want to do more of that. And that's how I know. If they feel a little uncomfortable when we're talking about things like we do the house challenges and we do a lot of performance assessments, things like that, then I know it's not a right fit. And that's fine because there are kids that learn traditionally as well.
Yeah, there's schools everywhere for that traditional teacher. Mm-hmm. There are jobs everywhere, man. But what you have going on is really unique, and I have a feeling, I have a friend of mine who does an amazing job at recruiting and hiring teachers. And what he told me one time, he said, when I have one in front of me that I know is the right fit for us, it's like a neon sign above their head with an arrow pointing down, like I'm the one.
It just clicks.
Yeah, and he says if there's any doubt, like, I don't know, they might work out, then he knows for sure that that's not it, because it's 100% the right one, or it's not. There's no 99%, 100% or nothing.
Right, and we do show them like clips of the things that we've done, and you can just tell from someone's reaction.
Yeah.
To those things, whether or not that's for them or not.
Like, oh, what is that? Oh.
The interesting thing though is like we've had one teacher get placed at our school.
Yeah.
And at first she was just kind of, wait a second, what are we doing here? And now she just kind of tippy-toed in, and now she's in. And she thought, I never thought I could do that. But I think sometimes as teachers, we just, again, like we go back to what we talked about in the beginning, where you feel like you got to fit a certain role. When, how about we just try to get out of the box, do something different. And she felt so much better when she tried and did it, because also she had the environment for it, where she wasn't like the only one doing that.
Yeah.
So,
just watching you do your thing, it's definitely one of those campuses where it really, like it's not just a saying that people have sometimes, but it seems to be really true that you would much rather them ask, for forgiveness rather than permission. Yes. Like, go do your thing.
Yep. That's right. That's right. I want them to just, when I go in, I walked in the classroom last week and my teacher was rearranging and I thought, what's going on in here? She's like, we're having court next week. And so all of the desks, she made the bench and
right.
That's perfect. She didn't ask. I think chairs were up on pedestals for the bench. And I just thought, well, as long as we're good. It's
Yeah.
good. I
Sounds like
want
she
I
fits
want them
in.
to do that. Ask for forgiveness. Another time I walked in. Actually, the superintendent was in our building. Because our previous superintendent was in the building. The door opened up and I could kind of see into this math class. And I thought, oh no, he better not go in there because he was brand new and I really didn't know his style. But I could see the kid up on a giant. It was like a wooden pedestal, and he had a kite, and had a fan on, and they were measuring the angles and the speed. And I thought, that kid is up on the thing. And he walked in, the superintendent, he was like, this is awesome.
Yeah. It's true. Like deep down
So
inside, everybody wants to be in that class. When you walk by, it's like, God, why can't I be in there?
right.
Yeah.
Right. And then teachers have more fun. I mean, they want to do those fun things too. They do. And it's a matter of them feeling like they haven't been able to sometimes.
Yeah, just as an educator, really anybody, I mean, waking up that morning and knowing today's court day and like can't wait, and knowing today we're about to fly a kite in my classroom somehow. Like I can't wait to get there. Like I don't know if anybody really rolls out of bed and says, "Oh my gosh, I cannot wait to stand in front of the class and give them notes out of chapter 14."
No, definitely not.
No.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
Another cool one that we had was the teacher made her classroom look like an inside of an airplane. And so, because they had their world projects they were doing, well, they had to go through like a security checkpoint, and then they went into the room and they sat down in their plane seats, and the kids were just like, what is going on?
Right.
But they'll always remember that. And it's about the experience more. It's the content, but they'll remember the content because of that experience that they had. And so we're still talking about those moments. There's so many that we do, but the teachers are the ones that do it. They think of it. And I just like, whatever you guys think of, whatever you think of, how can we make it happen?
If they feel like you trust them and support them, they're going to come up with amazing stuff. And you're right. It's those experiences. What it really is. It's not it's the emotion that is driven by the experience.
That's what it is. The emotions.
And there's no emotion driven in that traditional style that we all have attempted when we first started. But when it can generate some excitement and passion and enthusiasm, and the kids are laughing, and there's humor involved, and things are funny, and that is what, that is the reason they'll remember the experiences, which is the reason they're going to remember the content forever.
Yeah, that's perfect. It's because of that emotion. They remember how they felt when they were giving their world report in the plane.
Yeah.
And to them, it seems real. It's like, we're in a plane.
Yeah.
We went through security. It's just to see their faces, their excitement. We came back for the New Year's. We came back and I made it look like Times Square, because many kids have never been to Times Square. And as a New Yorker, I thought that's kind of important. And so like we came back and we did the countdown, even though it was like the 6th of January. We were doing it and kids were into it.
Did you have the ball and everything?
We had a rocket. So we're the rockets.
Nice. Yeah,
so
right.
we dropped the rocket.
Very cool. So amazing. Hey, let me ask you a quick question. In your school, you guys have been moved a few times, and so your school is now portable buildings.
It's portables. Yes, we have 8 portables. But like I always say, the school is the people. It's the people and the philosophy that we embody. And but yeah, we're in 8 portables. And
how do you keep it together in just as a family in a school-wide culture when you're in separate buildings like that? Is there we do a morning?
We do a morning meeting called Morning Motivation every single morning, and that's something that has transformed our culture.
Yeah.
And we meet, we do celebrations, we dance, we get ready for the day. And then we also, every Friday is our big house day. So we wear our house colors and we do house principal challenges, I call them. And there's a lot of competition involved, but also we do our cheers. We just revamped our MVLA cheer. Everybody knows it. And so all of those things, kids now, this is the first year, this 4 years in, that when the kids go up to perform for their houses, they are cheering on. They're like, here we go, Animi, here we go. When they go up. And I thought that happened authentically. It happened just like all of a sudden, and kids started that.
Yeah.
And so that's how you see that culture coming together. It's because they know we're 5 houses, 1 school. And that's in our cheer, 5 houses, 1 school. And so now we are literally in these little houses.
Right.
It just looks a little different. And so we just play it up. We play up every situation as a positive. We play it up. And kids are the ones, they're resilient and they'll jump in if you have a positive mindset about it. And we talk about a positive mindset with kids all the time, because we talk about adaptation. We have a list of 25 expectations, and we call it GRASP: gratitude, relationships, attitude, scholarship, and purpose. And those are our tenets at our school. And so it's all about those tenets and how we are showing gratitude for what we have, how we are working hard in scholarship, how we are figuring out who we are as a leader, as our purpose. So those are just some of the key things that have kept us together, because of those the common mission and vision for what we have.
And you have your kids, is it 6 through 8?
6, 7, and 8. Yeah.
All right. Here's my question is, it's such a unique environment. It's so loving and it's so full of excitement and passion. And there's that family feel. When those kids go to the next campus after they leave 8th grade, what's that like for them? Do they come back and tell you about it? Because, I mean, it's got to be it's dramatically different.
It is. And they do come back. And so far, I mean, we've had some great stories of how they've gone to bigger schools, because there's one smaller high school, about 300 kids, but most kids go to the bigger schools, and they come back and they say, you know what, I'm prepared for doing that speech in math. I'm prepared to work in a group. I'm prepared with the changes that are going on, because we teach them those things. So besides the content, we're teaching those leadership skills about adaptation, about communication. And so kids come back and they feel equipped. And so, definitely more kids for them, but they feel like empowered because they have the skills that they need in order to navigate that new place that they're at.
And that new place that they're at, that thing is giant.
It's big. Yeah. But they take with them the feelings, and goes back to those emotions. They take with them those emotions that they had with teachers. They come back. They can't wait to come back and visit those teachers because of the connection that they've created. And sometimes they do say, I'm just not connected. I'm not connected as I was at MVLA, which I get. I mean, we're a small school, but every teacher can connect. And every teacher can connect, no matter what size of school. You got your classroom. That's your classroom. Make it happen. Connect with your kids, because that's what they're going to remember.
It's everything, isn't it?
It's everything. It's everything. I mean, whenever we get a new group of kids too in 6th grade, I tell the teachers, I'm like, don't worry about the math and the science. We'll get to that, because without that foundation of getting to know who that teacher is, getting to know who those kids are, the things that they like, the quirks that they have, you're never going to get to the math. It doesn't matter if you put it up on the board. It's not going to happen. Never. And so they don't have to ever worry about me coming in and saying, you're not teaching such and such standard on this day. Connect first. We got to connect first. And that's what we had to create with the alternative school. There was no connection. They were just throwing content at them. How is a kid going to learn if I don't even know who the teacher is? Never,
especially in this day and age. It's such a different world. And I think maybe when you and I were in high school and back in the 70s and 80s, maybe back then it was possible, but this is such a different world. This is just such a different generation where that foundation of human connection really has to be in place solidly. And the more solid that foundation, the more content you can stuff in the noggin of that kid.
Yeah. I mean, we have a language arts teacher so they're reading Macbeth right now.
Yeah.
They also had to reinvent the English language. I mean, these are the things that they're doing with 6th graders. And I thought, holy cow, it's because of the relationship they have with that teacher. Whatever, he can bring up any book and they're going to be in. They're in.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
No.
And they're in and they're ready to go, and they're like, keep it coming, because of the fact that they have that relationship. It makes everything possible in the classroom.
It really does. Possible. And here's, you know what, I think the reason it is so effective on that level, on such a deep level in your place, is because, like, as a leader, you know how important it is to model it for your teachers. Like, we can't expect to see that in our teachers unless they see it from us as leaders, and it gives them the right, and it not just encourages them, but gives them the permission to do that with their kids.
Oh yeah. We just had breakfast this morning. It's Veterans Day, so there's no kids at school today. So we all met together and had breakfast. I mean, it's important that we have that connection as a staff, and that we can take the pulse of each other and say, hey, someone's having some trouble today.
Yeah.
Let's jump in and help them out. And so we do that all the time, because we're all human. we all have lives outside of our classroom. And how do we connect as educators? And that's so critical. And the kids too, they connect with their teachers, and they know when their teachers are not feeling right or something's going on. And that's really cool when they come with the concerns of their teachers.
So true. There's I put up a quote the other day about, it's not just the kids struggling, there's teachers struggling too. And oftentimes it's really important to take care and nurture that relationship among teachers, and collectively then as a family of adults and teachers, we can go and impact the lives of kids. If we just only do the kid first thing and just focus on kids all the time and nothing else, that is what really leads to burnout, because teachers oftentimes feel isolated in that situation rather than in a family together, and then together we can then go and impact the lives of kids.
Oh yeah. And you can enlist your kids to help. They want to help.
Yeah.
Like, you just say, hey, you know what? We're going to do something special for this staff member, and they will be in on it. Like, you talk about the love bomb. We've done that so many times, and it's awesome because, like, the staff member comes in and their office is plastered with all this love and notes and pictures. And so the kids will help with that, because definitely that's something to struggle with administrators. We struggle with writing the notes and making sure that we're keeping up on tabs on everybody, making sure they're okay. But kids want to help. And then that teaches them empathy too.
That's what I love about it. And so, for those who don't know, the love bomb, what we have been known to do at campuses, and you guys are a great example, is we just pick somebody. Sometimes we have a reason, sometimes we don't. We just pick a person. And then, in my class, what I would do is just take a few minutes at the end of the class and say, all right, here we go. We got day for love bomb. And in just a few minutes, we figure out how to make a difference in the life of this person. It might be another teacher, it might be a custodian, it might be another kid, and it might involve sticky notes. It could be balloons, a cupcake, who knows? And what I always tell my kids is we make it anonymous, because what I tell them is, listen, if they find out it was us, let's keep this a secret. If they find out it was us, you know what? They're going to remember, they'll remember for a long time. But if they never know who it was, they're going to remember forever.
That's right.
And so we try as best we can to do it ninja style and secret style. And the kids love it. And it's like, hey, it's time for a love bomb. Or they'll know, they'll hear about some teacher. I heard Miss Williamson had a flat on the way to school today, and her hands are all greasy and she got grease on her pants. Let's do a love bomb. And so we'll do it,
And kids pick up on that. I mean, we just had it happen when we moved out of the portables. We moved out of a building, and the kids came to me and said, we want to do something for the teachers in that building because they were so nice to us. And they did it. Like, it was initiated by kids.
Yeah.
And that's how your culture is really ramping up, I think, because they're coming up with these things now. We've done them a few times. They've experienced them. And then they're like, when are we going to do that again?
Right.
To help someone else, and that is so cool. And it's great to see when your teachers see that. As a teacher, you're like, they just said that. They did it. They did it. It was them. And that's just the coolest moment ever. And because anything goes at MVLA, like, you can suggest anything and we will. Yes. And how are we going to do that? And how are we going to make it happen with butcher paper and not a lot of supplies?
Right. We got one roll of duct tape left for the year. So let's figure this out.
Do it.
The New York City skyline might be a little small, but it's going to be there.
And that's right. And one of the things I've noticed too, as they're kind of, when I early on as an administrator, is I felt like things had to be perfect to do them. Not anymore. No. They don't have to be. The kids don't remember that piece that's not hanging right, or it's all crooked, or you use butcher paper and duct tape. They don't remember. They just remember Academy Awards. That's it.
Yeah.
That's what they remember. They remember the rocket dropping and it's New York City. That's what they remember, the airplane. And so if I ask kids what we made that out of, they probably couldn't remember. Doesn't matter. Yeah. And so that's why we just go for it. And it's so special to them. And get your parents involved too. I mean, that's another thing. Teachers, administrators can get their parents involved. They want to do it. This whole thing on Friday is all parent. So we have some guests coming to see our portable village, and that's what I'm going with. I'm going with the village. It's a village feeling.
I love it.
Actually, when we came back to school from the summer, we called it Camp MVLA because it feels like we're camping.
Right.
So
right. It could be a trailer park or it could be a village. Let's go with the village.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes, much better is the village. Yeah.
Here's what I love about you and the Mesilla Valley Leadership Academy is that's one of those campuses. There's a few of them around the nation where I can look to it, and anytime I hear somebody talking about the challenges that they're having and why they can't do this and why they can't do that, I think about one of the campuses I think about is your campus because I mean, frankly, there's been a lot of challenges along the way, and it somehow. It continues to be this amazing place where kids are loved and nurtured and awesome stuff happens regularly.
Yeah, we've been through a lot, and I think it's actually made us stronger. So that's another one of those leadership lessons for our kids is that all of these changes we did together. And so when you go through adversity, you're stronger. And so we have our strongest probably class of kids right now because they've been through a lot. They've been through a lot in 3 years. And they want to celebrate it. And our 8th graders are ready to celebrate and move on to high school. But just going through that has built that grit in them.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, they're very
thank
gritty.
you so much for hanging out with us here on the Help a Teacher Facebook page. And I appreciate for everyone who wants to follow Dr. Toni Hull. We're going to have we'll put the links here, and then thank you so much for all you do, not just for your kids, but oh my gosh, what a great place for your teachers as well.
Thank you so much, and anyone that wants to come on by and visit, come to New Mexico. It's beautiful here.
Yes.
It is. Thanks so much. Right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Take care.
Okay, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.